TKMS is the best choice for Canadian workers.
Here we go again. Welcome back to Moose on Loose. My name's David. Today we've got Mark Carney making the big submarine announcement, and what you're not going to get in the news is, well, the truth. Let's jump into this. Starting this episode off on the Financial Post, we've got Finance Minister says big ticket spending needed for growth amid heightened debt worries. That's right, when they're committing to $50 to $100 billion in submarines, of course he's going to come out and say this. Should note too that they're not showing us the financials of their 4% GDP spending on military, FYI. But before we get to the submarines, we've got this one here I thought was interesting, showing China's real estate market has erased all the gains from the past 20 years. Look at this fall. No wonder Mark Carney is bailing out condo developers, because the Chinese buyers are no longer coming. We knew this, but seeing it on the graph, you can really see, yeah, that's over 20 years of growth in the Chinese real estate market wiped out. The big condo developers, they don't have big Chinese money to bail them out anymore. When you got guys like Duncan Wzolterzek, who's the board vice president and chief of staff for the Omni Group, which is a major developer in Vancouver. They build condo towers. Who's also the director of the Liberal Party of Canada and British Columbia, Duncan Wzolterzek. And he also is a member of Gregor Robertson's Vision Vancouver party. What do you know? It's the trifecta. Big condo developer buddies getting bailed out. The same guys that are part of the Liberal Party. Now, we're getting sidetracked with this, but we've got bigger fish to fry here. At first, I thought I'd just point this out, Mario bringing this up. Carney's groceries and essentials benefit for a family that makes $68K a year gets $38 back. That's right, folks. You can see it down here. $38.65. There's your grocery rebate, folks. Meanwhile, what's Carney spending our money on? Submarines. Why? I'll show you why. So I already brought up this company TKMS and their links to alleged corruption.
We'll fly to Ankara for the NATO summit. Canada will arrive in a position to help lead the alliance. Our fiscal framework has already budgeted to achieve 4% of GDP in total defense spending by the end of this decade, ahead of NATO's 2035 timetable.
This guy's throwing our money around as if we're a very successful, prosperous country, which we're not. Where is the money going to come from, Mark? It's not net zero.
That includes, as I said, provisioning for the costs of these submarines. In the Arctic and on NATO's western flank, Canada is taking a leadership role. These new submarines, combined with the world's second largest fleet of icebreakers, combined with new aircraft, new radar, more missiles and drones, better cyber defenses, new ports and air bases, are allowing Canada to assert our full sovereignty in the Arctic.
Are we going to conquer territory and gain resources through conquering territory? No, of course not. That's at least the one thing America does with that giant military is they divide and conquer, and they bring back those resources to America. I mean, look, they're controlling the oil in Venezuela. Whether you like it or not, that's what they do with their giant military. Carney wants to spend billions of dollars on submarines for what? They're going to go and patrol around, find a Russian fleet coming towards Canada to invade us? Then what? They're going to send a message like, hey, rally the troops who can't even walk in tandem to come fight the Russians? We don't have anything to fight them with. We need to focus on our GDP and we need to mooch off America while we fix our country. That's really the Cole's notes of what we should be doing right now. He's going to bankrupt us with all this military spending. While it will create some jobs, it's creating jobs out of taxpayer money.
We're matching these investments with increased presence. Through Operation Nanook at home, Exercise Cold Response in the High North, and Operation Reassurance in Latvia. We're amongst the largest contributors to the coalition of the willing for Ukraine.
Yeah, and not one of the largest contributors to Canadians living in the streets in tents. This guy's a disgrace.
And through the Defence, Security and Resilience Bank, Canada will help mobilize affordable capital so democratic nations can build their defence industries faster and in the most cost-effective ways.
There's a lot to break down here, but first I just want to show you one other clip here of him talking about Zelensky.
Was about, and this is exactly the discussion I'll have again tomorrow with President Zelensky. I'm sure one aspect of this is integrated defense systems. So integration between manned, or I'm going to call them traditional, even though they're cutting edge, but traditional manned vehicles, whether it's a manned aircraft, a manned destroyer, or crewed, I should say, crewed destroyer, crewed.
Yeah, you don't want to say manned because that's gender sensitive or whatever, right, Carney? They're crewed destroyers and this, that, and the other. All that stuff is nonsense and noise. What we were focusing on is what he said at the start, talking about integrating our defense systems with Ukraine.
Integrated defense systems. So integration between manned, or I'm going to...
Integrated with Ukraine. Now, I already showed you in a previous video that Carney has signed us up with the EU to take over the financing of funding Ukraine's war with Russia. Russia? This is going in tandem with what he just said here. What's really going on is Chrystia Freeland left his government to become an advisor to Zelensky to help secure that Brookfield gets the contracts for reconstruction, which is what we see here. This is off this website. U.S.-Ukraine Construction Investment Agreement, a new model for rebuilding and strategic partnership. So it mentions a bunch of the companies here, which we have here. You can see Brookfield is one of them. I just broke that down, put it on the Moose chart, and then I also put it in green and red, whether if Mark Carney's invested in it. You can see Mark Carney's invested in all of but two of these companies that will be rebuilding Ukraine, and Brookfield is one of them. So Chrystia Freeland, I'm speculating that's why she left. She's working with Zelensky to make sure that Brookfield gets these as many contracts as possible to rebuild Ukraine, because it'll be worth billions and trillions of dollars probably. Now, Carney talked about integrating our defense. I'm sure this all works in tandem. But getting back to the topic at hand, submarines.
1989, the year that the Berlin Wall collapsed, was the last time our defense spending was above 2%. Well, history's returned. And while a more just, stable, and prosperous world for all may yet come, it won't come without vigilance, resolve, and partnership amongst like-minded allies.
Isn't this guy the biggest party pooper out there? Or as Kirk Lubomov says, what is this cryptic message? It is genuinely alarming. Yeah, it was. When he said it won't come without vigilance, resolve, etc. What is this guy up to? I figured out one part, the main part of why he chose the German company over the South Korean company.
In addition, TKMS has offered to reallocate boats from the German and Norwegian orders, allowing for early delivery of the first 4 submarines by 2034. TKMS is the best choice for Canadian workers. It will directly create and sustain an ecosystem of well over 100,000 well-paying jobs.
Okay, this is more pie in the sky kind of stuff, but TKMS is the German company that he chose to build these submarines. Meanwhile, we've got a graph here of the different countries and gross debt as a percentage of GDP. It keeps rising. Canada is this red one here. This was obviously the world event, so just ignore that. But you can see back in 2007, we're down here at 70, and now we're up to 109.4. You've got the United States at 126. You've got the United Kingdom at 94.5. They've gone down recently, and the OECD's 108.9. We know the South Koreans were offering to build vehicles, to have other industries built in Canada that they were willing to do to get the contract for this. The question is, what did TKMS offer Mark Carney so he would go with them?
In Korea, you boarded an actual completed version of the submarine Hanwha Ocean was offering to Canada. In Germany, they gave you a small model of what they're offering. What did TKMS Germany promise in terms of delivery schedule for all 12 submarines? And is there not a considerable risk of Canada having almost no submarine capability until the late 2030s and not having a full fleet of 12 or more for more than 25 years, given there is no German submarine built or tested? TKMS has limited shipyard capacity, and these development programs always go later over budget.
Thank you. First off, thank you for your question. I'd refer back to several things. First, just for clarity, we will enter into negotiations. The Defense Investment Agency will enter into negotiations for up to 12 submarines. That's the first aspect, just to be clear. Secondly, the German government, the Norwegian government have offered, and this works, to make available some of their slots in the production of these submarines so that we can receive submarines earlier. So we will receive submarines earlier, as I referenced.
Just imagine we got these submarines tomorrow. Then what? So we're patrolling the oceans. It still doesn't increase GDP. Where our country is crumbling right now, this isn't where the money should go. If they want to do defense stuff, they should be focusing on drones, become the world leader in attack drones, military drones, aquatic drones, and then sell those to the world. We need our own companies like Raytheon and Boeing, etc., that make these military tools, toys, and pow-pows that we could sell to the world. We're going to buy these expensive submarines, patrol the icy coasts, looking for the Russians, then what? We find them, then what? We don't have anything to deal with them.
To my remarks, and you'll see in the backgrounder, the expectation is we'd have 4 submarines by 2034. Recall that the original timeline for this procurement was 5 years from now. So we're making a decision today. We're talking.
He's not really answering why, though. Why did he go with the German company?
Is a third of the submarines to NATO. So all of those aspects in terms of delivery capacity.
So he says because NATO, these will integrate well with other NATO docks. This is one of the main reasons. This is not the reason. The reason why Mark Carney's choosing this German company is for his own profit. You're not going to get this in the news. You're not going to get this on mainstream media. You're only going to get this here. Listen on CBC here. A very brief mention of something that they glaze over.
The Canadian government has chosen its preferred bidder for who will bid its fleet of new submarines. The decision comes after an intense competition between Germany and Norway on one side and South Korea on the other, with both bids promising major economic benefits to the Canadian economy. While both said they would build submarine maintenance facilities on 2 of Canada's coasts, there were some other big commitments in those pitches. The winning bid from Germany and Norway boasts an $86 billion boost to Canada's GDP over the life of the deal, up to 50,000 jobs created in Canada over the next 5 years. A proposal to build a factory to make heavy torpedoes and possibly develop hypersonic missiles. The German government has also shown interest in major investments in Manitoba's port of Churchill to help get critical minerals and LNG to.
You see that? They've already moved on.
Instead, it wants to partner with Alberta to establish a carbon capture facility.
He's already moved on. It's right there. Joint carbon capture venture with Alberta. What is that? We'll get to that in a second.
The South Korean bid promised more than $70 billion in trade and investment in Canada, with all of its investment creating between 15,000 and 22,500 jobs per year, all the way through to 2044. There was a memorandum of understanding with Ontario's Algoma Steel, committing up to $345 million to build a steel beam mill and to purchase Algoma's steel to build and maintain the submarines. And finally, a deal with Canada's Automotive Parts Manufacturers Association, promising to build armored vehicles in Canada. Both of those plans were contingent on South Korea winning the contract.
So what's really going on is ThyssenKrupp AG, as I already showed in a previous video on this anti-money laundering network website, is a high risk of corruption, money laundering, all this kind of stuff based on their past over the past 20 years. There's a website here which breaks down everything, corruption tracker. This breaks down a specific instance here. And really, Avi Lewis and the NDP should be running buck wild with this against Mark Carney, as you're going to see. So ThyssenKrupp, headquartered in Germany, industrial engineering. They make ships, they make other stuff. They have branches in 45 countries. Now getting to the main part of it here, it says official fundraising organization for Israel works to further the national priorities of the state of Israel. Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, shows the different years here in office during negotiations, cleared of criminal wrongdoing. Michael Ganor, Israeli businessman, main agent of ThyssenKrupp in Israel since October 2009, allegedly received at least $11.4 million in commissions from ThyssenKrupp, indicated in the latest case. You've got Avril Bar Yosef, former deputy head of the National Security Council, accused of promoting Ganor's appointment as ThyssenKrupp agent in Israel while anticipating financial reward, indicated in latest case. You've got Cpac Brosh, close associate and mediator between Yosef and Ganor, suspected of facilitating bribe payments between Ganor and Yosef. You don't have to follow all the names here. You just listen for the key words here. For consulting services, indicated in latest case, we've got David Shrimron, Netanyahu's personal lawyer and second cousin, allegedly received money from Ganor due to his proximity to Netanyahu, cleared of wrongdoing. David Sharon, director of the Prime Minister's office during negotiations, former aide to Netanyahu, and former Energy Minister Steinitz allegedly received money from Ganor to promote the deal, indicated in the latest case. And just jumping out here for a second, these cases are not just allegations of corruption and fraud, bribery, etc. in general in terms of Netanyahu. These cases are related to ThyssenKrupp, all of these ones. This company's been wrapped up in a whole lot of garbage, and Mark Carney's like, yeah, that's the company I want to send Canadian tax dollars to. Eliezer Modi Sandberg, alleged to receive money from Ganor to promote the deal, gathering information on personal negotiating the deal, indicated in the latest case. You see, this just goes on and on. We've got another one here, allegedly receiving money in return for consulting services. We've got a close friend of Sharon suspected of bribery, conspiring to commit a crime and money laundering, indicated in the latest case. We've got a media advisor, a business partner suspected of mediation and bribery, conspiring to commit a crime, obstruction of justice, named in latest indictment. And finally, we've got a former national security advisor questioned on suspicion, mediation in bribery, and leaking information to Ganor from the National Security Council's discussion. Attorney and former advisor to Netanyahu is also married to his cousin and Shimron's sister, received significant expense payments to promote the deal, cleared of wrongdoings. It says, according to the Memorandum of Understanding, paragraph 10, before the submarines can be delivered, all investigations must be stopped. All suspected suspicions must be dispelled. This is back from 2022. This was a deal, $3.4 billion, set to be delivered by 2031. This talks about German-made Dolphin and Dolphin 2 submarines. I mean, there's a total timeline here. We're not going to go through all this stuff, but you get it. There's a lot of corruption, close people to Netanyahu getting money. A lot of these people cleared of wrongdoing, some of them still indicted, this, that, and the other. If the NDP and Avi Lewis want to really dig into this and then put this right back on Mark Carney and saying, look, tie this right to the Palestinian stuff, this is perfect ammo for Avi Lewis. As for what we're talking about here today, I just want to reaffirm the alleged corruption that's going on here with this company, ThyssenKrupp. And then today, Mark Carney announcing that ThyssenKrupp will be going forward, getting the contract here. And then we have the German government also proposed establishing a carbon capture facility deploying TKMS technology in partnership with Alberta. Wait a second, TKMS has technology, carbon capture technology? You bet it does. TKMS Heirloom Carbon Technologies and ThyssenKrupp Calvion explore commercialization of direct air capture in Canada. This is June 11th, 2026. We're talking 1 month ago. Now, direct air capture, DAC, as it's called here, machines that suck CO2 from the air and store it underground. This is one of the high integrity removals that would generate a carbon credit, which then could be sold on a carbon market like something like the Frontier program created by Stripe, the payment platform, the one that Mark Carney used to be a board member of, the one that Mark Carney self-administers in his RRSPs, as we see right there. There's not that many. It's just these companies. This is one of them. He must have millions of dollars in Stripe if I were a betting man. Probably tens of millions. ThyssenKrupp Calvion and partners launch large-scale carbon removal initiative. They've signed on to a memorandum here with TKMS and American direct air capture company Heirloom Carbon Technologies to advance carbon dioxide removal in Canada, joint venture to support the country to becoming the top exporter of clean technologies and establishing high quality employment opportunities and reinforcing the industrial infrastructure of Alberta. It's sad to see what's happening to Alberta with this nonsense. Then it goes on to mention here ThyssenKrupp Calvion is designing the next generation Kelsener focusing oxy-fuel expertise, which is enhanced by electrification platforms from SaltX technology to ensure scalable carbon removal. Representatives from the participating companies highlighted that the partnership creates a foundation for robust carbon removal infrastructure, which also provides decarbonization solutions for other emission-intensive industries worldwide. These companies want to build this out. They want to send it worldwide. And what's interesting about this is ThyssenKrupp Calvion, which is a little bit of a different name than ThyssenKrupp AG, which we saw here from the money laundering thing. Well, Calvion is just a subsidiary of this one. We see it right here. ThyssenKrupp carves out sustainable process technologies into ThyssenKrupp Calvion. And it says the new company, ThyssenKrupp Calvion, headquartered in Eigenloh, commenced operations on May 1st, 2026, as in like 2 months ago, with a team of around 40 employees that specializes in sustainable process technologies for the cement, lime, and other energy-intensive industries. This company needs money to build up its carbon capture business. Mark Carney is sending billions of dollars over to this company's parent company to buy submarines. And what's that going to do? It's going to help fund this to help build up the carbon capture industry that Brookfield is already world leader in through the many companies here, which will be soon organized on that other section of the Moose chart. All these ones here, CC, carbon capture. They have numerous companies throughout the Moose chart here invested in carbon capture. Entropy Carbon Capture, this one funded by Canadian tax dollars in 2023 by Justin Trudeau, $200 million in Calgary. This is also in Mark Carney's Brookfield Global Transition Fund 1, which he makes 3% carried interest off of. So obviously Mark Carney has his millions of dollars of stock options and shares in Brookfield. That's a world leader in carbon capture. He's also got his shares in Stripe, which are self-administered, and he used to be a board member of Stripe. And now he's doing a multi-billion dollar, $50 to $100 billion deal with a German submarine company that just happens to be doing carbon capture. Not just happens, they just started their carbon capture business 2 months ago. What do you know? What a coincidence. The partners believe that the combination of local natural resources, skilled workforce, and the advanced technical engineering will solidify the position of Canada in the global green marketplace. Mark Carney chose the company that would help benefit his own shares in Stripe, in Brookfield, in carbon capture that he'll directly profit off of in his Brookfield Global Transition Fund 1.
Not a transition fund.
Your transition fund, sorry.
Brookfield Global Transition Fund.
Sorry, I know I've played this clip like 4 times in the last week. It's just so unbelievable. He's telling us exactly what the most important thing is. I already knew this. I've been saying this for a year, but he's actually saying it. What's in that fund is the most important thing in his life, and we see it every single day with these announcements because they all push to that same thing. He stacked up all these companies here, and I don't know if it's only 13 or if there's more. These are the only ones I can find. Westinghouse, Deriva Energy, Scout Clean Energy, Urban Grid, Standard Solar, Entropy, which I just mentioned earlier, Avada Group, California Resources Corporation, Leap Green Energy, Clean Max, which is that one from India, Infinium Green Jet Fuel, XELIO, and Finlight. This is the most important thing in his life, so he's making it the most important thing for Canada's life because it makes him money. This should be against the law, what he's doing here. They'll say, oh, well, we did what's best for Canadians. We did what's in Canada's best interest, best value for money. They just happen to not only make submarines, but also carbon capture facilities starting 2 months ago.